recording. Okay.
All right.
Now I'm ready. Ready. I'll get our own introductions out of the way. So, truth is, you and I barely know each other,
Yeah,
which
very accurate.
I was gonna point that out before we started recording, but I was like, you know what? No, it's better if I don't. It's I could have been like, hey Vex, maybe we should like get to know each other first before we start the first episode. But I was like, no, let's get to know each other like as we're recording. I
I
think
think
it's
this makes for a better way to get to know each other as well, rather than just kind of words that have broken context and kind of missed connotation. So I would prefer to talk like this to get to know someone for the
yeah,
first time.
yeah, yeah. We I follow you on Twitter, but you don't even follow me. Like that's how little we know each other. So for the
I do
audience,
follow you. Hold on, hold on. Okay,
I no,
I
you
gotta
don't.
remedy this right now.
I checked. You don't. and and again, like I didn't want to point that out before we started recording because I thought it would make it more authentic.
Okay, hold on. I'm okay.
It,
There, there it is. There it is.
it's
All of
okay.
that.
It's not a big deal. I'm just trying to emphasize like we barely know each other, but we're doing this anyway, and that's the point of the podcast.
Hmm.
Like men and women coming together, healthy interactions because there's hardly any of that these days.
Agreed.
Just yesterday, I saw Andrew Wilson debating this femboy looking guy on
Hmm.
like how Andrew is so mean when he's talking to these OnlyFans girls and stuff. And Andrew's like, I'm not mean. That went on for hours. But
I
yeah, it just
oh,
reinforced the need to, in my opinion, it just reinforced the need to do something like this. Like we need to find a way to like, yeah, because like the red pill, so to speak, is is not popular with most women. I think that's safe to say. It's popular with men, but not so much women. Like
mhm.
we need a healthier outlet.
I feel like the red pill also it's very much like when you follow any of these kind of like cultural or sociological um I guess frameworks, we'll say, for lack of a better word. They all kind of push one specific bias or one specific view of the entire world or of humanity, and then it tries to apply that one worldview to literally everything in your life. So I find
Mm,
the red pill movement, there is some value in which it offers some valid talking points and
mm,
valid criticisms of women in particular, but at the same time it then pushes just a one all be all kind of way of thinking, which I don't believe that's how you can approach interactions with both the same sex and the opposite sex all the time. And it also, if anything, it just makes people a little bit more antagonistic
mm-hmm.
when you look at the world in such black and white thinking.
Yep, it's true. Like even though I agree with half the things the red pill says,
Hmm.
yeah, it's still not working for the most part. And also, like, I want to clear this up for the audience. So, how am I different, or how is this show different? Well, I'm not gonna recommend that men like sleep with as many women as possible just to like know what they even like. I think that
Hmm.
advice is just retarded, but I hear it
I
all the
agree.
time on like Fresh and Fit and what's his name, Tomasi,
Oh,
whatever.
Rolo Tomasi, I think it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
like I hear these types like say give that advice all the time. Like you got to know what you like and you got to know what works with you. So you got to sleep with as many women as possible and then try a serious relationship. And I'm just like, this is utterly retarded, not
I,
healthy at all. And also
I,
like,
I act.
oh,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
No, I was just gonna say, like, on that note, I do have like a personal story about that, surprisingly enough.
really?
Yeah, so before I met, okay, this is gonna sound really degenerate, okay, but roll with me. Okay.
Okay.
Before I met my husband, so I will have been married almost 4 years now this year. But I was in a open relationship for 3 years, in which the man that I was with, like we had kind of an agreement. It was on paper and everything for both of our peace of mind. I did not want to participate in the open end of it because I don't view sex as a casual thing.
Hmm.
I don't view physical intimacy as a casual thing. I just never have, which is probably why it took me so long to start dating in the first place. Um, but he had actually read like these. He had read because Rollo Tomasi has. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's like a red. It's a red book, and it's all about like how you can be like the alpha male and how you can get women and all of this stuff. So before I had even known what the red pill movement really was, this guy was already kind of in it, and I was his main partner, but he had the ability to have sexual relations with other women.
Mm.
And it was quite interesting because despite how many benefits he clearly had in our relationship and that he confessed we had in our relationship, the thing that was always on his mind is, oh, I'm meeting a new woman. How can I get her into bed? How can I fuck her? And he's always thinking about how can I increase this number. And it was weird because he would write down all of their names. He would write down when they had sex and where they had originally met. He wouldn't write down anything more than that in terms of details. But he kept like a ledger of everyone he had had sex with. And it was there are benefits to this relationship, like, but it's, it's in hindsight, it's like, what the fuck was I thinking spending 3 years with this? But
Yeah.
it's just funny because this is kind of, and this guy was like fundamentally in many ways a loser. He could not keep a job down to save his life. He was a pothead for most of our relationship.
Ah.
He dabbled in a lot of party drugs. He's very like hippie kind of lifestyle, and it was further kind of like it was just like further pushed by the people he associated with, who were also kind of hippy dippy, but they bought into this, kind of alpha male, need to get as many women as possible sort of thing. So they almost had like their own weird little cult, which is strange enough. It's so like I've seen kind of firsthand, and this wasn't like an isolated incident where it was just like him doing this. I had met many people throughout the course of our relationship that all thought like this
Mm.
and who all approached relationships and the opposite sex like this. And I thought it was so absolutely strange that you could reduce down the, because relationships are a very precious thing. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. Like, this is you kind of being vulnerable and open, and in one way or another kind of giving yourself and opening yourself to another person. So
Yeah.
there's a certain level of intimacy, and it consistently had blown my mind, and despite the red flags I stuck around, but I really should have listened to them. It's just, how can you reduce people down to just what you can get out of them physically? And how can you act so casual about something that has, for literally since the dawn of man, been kind of sacred to all of us in one way or another?
Did he do it on purpose? Like was that just the way he was, or did he believe that he needed to do that, behave that
Oh,
way?
he believed down to his core that like if he didn't try to get with as many women, or if he was just bound by a relationship, if he was monogamous, that he was missing out on life. That he was not truly experiencing
Mm.
everything life had to offer, and therefore if he was also sticking to one woman, then he wasn't truly a man. Like, it meant that he couldn't get women.
Wow. Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
men think
very,
that way
very
too.
strange.
Many men these days think that way too, and no matter how much they try to convince the world that that's right, I won't buy it.
It's it's just on the last note, it's funny because the red pill movement kind of evolved as, in part, a way to counteract like what liberalism was doing to relationships and how it was swaying things in favor of women and demasculizing men.
Mm-hmm.
And then here it is basically pushing the exact same ideals as liberalism. Have as much casual sex as you want, sleep with as many people as you want, it doesn't matter because that's ultimately going to provide you with some worth and some value. And liberalism does the same thing for women. Sleep with as many people as you want, it doesn't matter, you'll still get everything you want at the end of the day.
Yeah, I do see the red pill as just feminism for men.
Yeah.
Like, what else would
Yeah.
that look like? If there was a feminism for men, what else would that look like? And there you
It's
go.
just, it's
And
led by the most degenerate, like low T people you can think of.
yeah,
On top of that, it's like these aren't masculine men whatsoever.
they tend to be actually really gay, and I might get backlash for saying this, but like I do not believe for a second that Andrew Tate is completely straight. I don't believe for a
Agreed.
second that what's his name, Myron Gaines, is completely
Yep.
straight. I don't buy it. And
It's oh sorry, continue your thought.
I just think like I think part of where this mindset comes from, I don't know about your ex, but I think where part of where this mindset comes from is like they're trying to convince themselves that they're straight. And so they're always like trying to hook up with women. I think they're just trying to tell themselves like, yeah, I don't like men. I don't like men. I like women. I could be wrong, but it just
I think
seems, yeah.
there's some truth to what you're saying in all honesty because like in the case of this former partner he, okay I don't know if are you married or you have a girlfriend or anything like that.
No, I was going to get into that though, but you can
Okay,
go ahead.
so have you ever had like girlfriends or former partners just kind of like grab your butt and it just makes you like jolt up?
One did, and that was, I never got used to that, and that
Okay.
stopped rather quickly.
Right, like I do it to my husband for fun because he gets like he looks like someone's just violated him. Right? It's funny, right?
Yeah.
But he has like this paranoia about things going up his butt. So this 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 former partner, right? He had had some like medical instance when he was a kid where he had to have basically a surgery through his butt in one way or another.
Hmm.
But I would just like playfully grab his butt because it's that same. They just kind of look at you like, "What have you done to me? You've assaulted me," sort of deal. But he one day he just came clean. He's like, "I'm like the reason I do that is because I don't like what it could lead to. Because I sometimes have curious thoughts about other men, and I'm afraid if I open that door, then there will be no more controls on my sexuality." And I thought this was funny and kind of contradictory, and I brought it up to him, and he used this and that to try and, throw me off the topic and defer answering the question. But it's just when, like, you see this with porn usage, I think is the best comparison. Is, most people will just start off watching like normal heterosexual, penis and vagina porn. But then you get kind of hooked on it and you just keep watching that. And then suddenly what you're watching isn't getting you off the same way. So maybe you start watching, anal porn or group sex porn or something like that. You're escalating things now. I feel
Yeah.
when you already start off at a point where your goal is to sleep with as many women as possible, somewhere along the way, because you have assigned no inherent value to this aside from basically a tally, you need to keep upping the game in order for it to be satisfying to you in the moment.
Yeah, just like
So,
any
like,
addiction.
exactly. So it's like gay sex is kind of like that would be the next thing. Oh, it's like it's just as taboo, it's just as foreign. It would add something new into the mix, and you keep escalating and escalating so I don't disagree with you that there is probably some gay element to it, but it's probably a mixture of being too sex brained
Hmm.
and also just like being so uncertain of who you are or being uncomfortable with yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Just like any addiction, like you love it at first, you think it's wonderful, the greatest thing ever, and then you realize like you have to up the ante just to get the same
Yep.
high. And I think any addiction works this way, not just with opiates. Um, but yeah, I was I thought I had a whole, not a script, but like notes, but I can't find them. But I did like want to go in a certain order, and one of the
You're good.
things wanted to tackle was how how you and I basically agree on pretty much everything to do with the subject. You know, we've like I said at the beginning, we don't know each other that well, but we have a lot of mutual friends, and we've kind of vaguely talked to each other that way in the past, like through our mutual friends. And I've also listened to you and Spoon talk on weighing in the whitelist. So I know that you and I agree on pretty much everything.
Okay.
But we're in different situations. I'm not with anybody right now, and you are. I'm a man, you're a woman. So we're different in a lot of ways, but we agree on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, from my perspective, so here's a brief rundown of my romantic history.
Okay.
Ever since I was a kid, I only wanted to be with one person. And I still am that way. I still only want to be with one person ever. Unfortunately, it's never worked out with anybody, and I need more than one hand now to count the number of people I've been with. Number of women. I've never been with a man. I don't want anyone to
That you know of.
extrapolate the wrong thing from the word people. But yeah, I've been with more than I care to admit, but that's because I was attempting to only be with one person, but in one way or another, something always went wrong. And it was usually the woman's fault. I'll just say it outright. Like, it was usually her fault.
Sorry.
In one case, I knew it wasn't going to last, but I didn't get too close to her. Like, she had her own apartment, and I stopped by a lot, but I actually didn't have sex with her on purpose because I knew this was not going to last.
Oh. Okay.
And then I left her after like 3 months. So I kept her at a bit of a distance just to be fair.
Okay.
But apart from that, the woman is always the one who leaves me, except for my most recent relationship. But I'll get to that. So I was with someone from, I was with a girl from when we were both 13, off and on through 19.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we grew up together. We first met each other when we were 10, and yeah, off and on as we were growing up, we're together, we're not together. She was first girl I ever loved like that, and she decided to cheat on me with two guys, and she left me for one of them.
And this was while you guys were on, technically?
Yes,
Okay.
they started when we were off, but yeah, she wasn't honest about everything when we got back on the last time.
Oh. I'm sorry to hear that.
But yeah, like, you know, growing up together, this was kind of the beginning of me realizing the truth about women, which
Oh.
you know we'll also get into. But like, I grew up with her, you know, like we grew up together, and she still pulls this shit. Like, not faithful, chooses to leave me entirely for one of the guys she cheated on me with. But I didn't learn a whole lot from that. It was heartbreaking, and that's it. That's all I knew. It just hurt. And yeah, I had, after her, it was like 2 or 3 years later, I get with a woman who's 16 years older than me.
Oh wow.
And funny enough, no one ever bitches about that, I've noticed. Like, if a man's with a younger woman, that's somehow a huge deal. But when a man's with a much older woman, no one cares.
Yeah, people cheer you on, if anything, which is strange.
Yeah. I don't remember anyone really like cheering us on, but I do remember no one had an issue with it outside of her ex. And even her ex was not like, "Oh, you creep," or anything like that. He was just jealous that she wasn't with him anymore.
Mm, okay.
So yeah, like about half the women I've been with are older than me, or were older than me when we were together. I guess they technically still are. And yeah, like I'm not really I've never had a concrete preference. Like I will only be with this type or this type.
Hmm.
Just if you're attractive enough physically and you have a good enough personality, then that's good enough for me. That's always been my style.
Yeah, about the same here.
I was married for about 2 years, and we had a
Hmm.
kid.
Oh.
But she decided that this guy who's I'm trying not to be too insulting in how I describe him, but basically he was a little too skinny, long hair, long black hair, emo type. She decided that she wanted to be with him instead of
Ugh.
continuing the marriage, even though we had a child and we were married. But she'll never admit this to this day. But I know this is why she left, because she was talking to him behind my back, and the night that she left, she was talking to him in front of me. She always tried to hide that she had feelings for him, but I always knew it was too obvious. So yeah, I was married. I've been with older women. That's pretty much my history. Not all that interesting. Not a whole lot more to say than that. And
Hmm.
then finally, my most recent relationship that ended about 5 or 6 months ago. She was she was really soft spoken. Like she
Hmm.
never once raised her voice for any reason.
Hmm.
She was good at cooking. She was a really good cook. I loved her food. She wanted to be a mother. That's the most important thing now. And she was really good with my daughter too. My
All
daughter
right.
really liked her. So she checked all the boxes. But I come to find out that she is the biggest whore I've ever met. Not only was she fucking a lot of guys before we got together, but she was continuing to fuck them after we got together.
Oh no.
And they were all black.
So she's kind of, I guess, using you as a meal ticket almost. It's like I can have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh
She,
no.
I think it's safe to say she was genuinely interested in me and genuinely wanted to be with me. I think that's the case, but yeah, when I found out, I was like, this is not going to last. But by the time I found out, we already we discovered she was pregnant, and I chose not to find out if it was mine or not before she gave birth. I don't know why. In hindsight, I'm still not entirely sure why. Probably for the sake of the child to some extent. Because if I found out that it's not mine, I would just leave her in the dust. And, she was surrounded, like, her family, they're all shitty people, like, really shitty people.
Hmm.
I won't get into the whole story, but I just kind of figured, like, even if it's not mine, I can at least protect this child while it's growing in the womb.
I gotcha. That's noble at least.
She did not eat healthy before she met me. She hardly ate at all, actually. The house she was living in, which was owned by her aunt, it was like thick smoke smell that you couldn't escape even if you opened a window. Like
Ooh.
very thick smoke in the
It was
house.
baked into the walls and
Yeah, like
everything.
in the walls, that bad.
Hmm.
Terrible environment, and I thought at the very least I can keep this child healthy while it's growing inside her.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, after she gives birth, actually, no, as she's giving birth, I find out it's not mine because that child's hair was way too dark. Now I'm mixed. I'm mixed. And half of me naturally has dark hair, like Asians have dark hair, blacks have dark hair,
Yeah.
and my father's Blasian, but that
Okay.
child still that child's hair was still too dark to be mine, and her hair was kind of a lightish brown, light brunette.
Okay.
So that's how I knew it wasn't mine from that moment. And then the child comes out of her, and you know he has the wrong nose. His skin is darker than mine, and
The
she's
signs are pretty obvious. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It is obvious to me, but she insisted that it was mine, and it technically could have been. Like the timing was right that it could have been mine,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, this isn't mine. He's not my kid, and she insisted on getting a test, and so we got a test, and I laughed when I saw the results of the test. This might be kind of evil.
Okay.
When I saw the results of the test, I just started laughing because at the bottom of the results it says probability of paternity, and it said 0%. And I found that funny because it's basically a piece of paper telling me like there is no chance you're the father. Like I
Yeah.
kind of pictured it like what's that show, Maury, something like that.
Oh yeah, you are not the
Yeah.
father.
Like I just kind of pictured him saying like there is no chance you're the father.
Mm-hmm.
Just
She's so adamant though that you were it.
yeah,
Oh.
solid 0% chance. But yeah, when I showed it to her, she lost it. Like she had a meltdown. She just lost her mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's like, now I'm gonna be alone. Her mother died of cancer, and I wasn't there, but she insists that her mother was a good parent, even though her mother was a single mom. But one of the reasons she always wanted to be a mother was because of her mother. And so yeah,
Okay.
when the results came in, and you know she knows I'm gonna leave her because it's not my kid, she's like, I already fucked this up. I wanted my kid to have a father. I wanted my child to have a complete family, and it was like, yeah, you did fuck this up. Bye. And so that was about 6 months ago when all that fell apart. So yeah,
Well,
I have
I'm sorry to
terrible.
hear that.
Yeah, it's all right. I wasn't that torn up over it. By then, I already understood women. Frankly, I'm not even sure why I gave her a chance because, yeah, I understood women by that point. My ex-wife taught me. Like, I learned my lesson with my ex-wife. Like, okay, this is the way women are.
Mm-hmm.
But I still gave this last broad a chance. And, yeah, that was disastrous in its own way.
Jeez. Good lord.
So yeah, I've tried. I've tried to find love, and I've always been faithful. I've never cheated in a relationship, not even when I was much younger. Never cheated. With the first one, we were on and off, but my focus was still on her the whole time. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
out with other women when we were off. I was stupid back then, but I wasn't. I wasn't a player. I think generally I've been a good person when it comes to this subject, but yeah, still keeps going to shit. So yeah, I showed her the results of the paternity test. It's not my kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then I left her, and yeah, that's I
Here
haven't
we
been
are.
with anyone since. I haven't tried to find anyone since,
Mm-hmm.
because like even before I met her, I was keen on not being with anyone until the whole marriage institution gets fixed. But she seemed perfect. Like she's a good cook. She wants to be a mother. She's soft spoken. She's not a complete bitch. Like
Mm-hmm.
she checked all the boxes as far as I could tell, and it's unfortunate that there was one hell of a red flag that I didn't see until it was too late.
How did you, if I may ask, how did you meet her?
She worked at a small restaurant near where I
Mm,
where we both lived at the time.
gotcha. Okay, okay.
So yeah, that's my story. So
Mm-hmm.
you're married,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that would make this show more interesting, like how you and I have so much in common, and also how different we are. Like I'm
For sure.
single, you're not, and so yeah, what's the story behind you meeting your husband, and how long have you been with him?
So I've been with him since, okay, I mean this is a bit of a weird story. So we met on Twitch of all places. I wasn't looking to date anyone. Um it was during COVID and lockdowns and everything, so I wasn't working as much because of all the restrictions over here in Canada.
Mm.
Um so I was just streaming on Twitch for, I was getting a bit of a following, I was making a little bit of money and whatever. And I met him through a stream team that we were both a part of, which is a pretty large group, looking back at it. And I guess we just kind of like hit it off, and it was one of those instances where, like, despite not physically being with this person in person, I knew he was it.
Mm-hmm.
So after just kind of a few months of just kind of, how was it? We started talking in like February, February of 2021. We were basically exclusively talking by spring, like March or so. And then I flew down to the Sunshine State, Florida, to meet him because he's a Florida native.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was there for 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, we were just like, I know you're it, you know that I'm it. Let's get married. And then we got married in October 2021.
Mm.
So it was just kind of like we just, the intuition was there that we were meant for each other. Unfortunately, though, in the almost 4 years that we've been married now, I have been waiting for my spousal visa to arrive. So I just sporadically see my husband for 2 to 3 weeks at a time when I can afford to take the time off of work
Oh, you still don't
or
live
vice versa.
together? Oh,
We still don't live together.
I
So
assumed
we
you
got
did.
married. No, no, unfortunately we don't. So I we got married October 1st, 2021. We filed November 3rd, 2021. I have done all of the interview steps. The only reason I don't have my visa is because I refuse to get vaccinated.
That's still a requirement.
For immigrants, yes. So there's when you go to like the CDC website or the United States Immigration Services website, there's a list of vaccines that immigrants are supposed to take, and there's some standard ones like hepatitis C and all of that. I haven't gotten any sort of vaccine since I was 17. I'll be 34 this year.
Hmm.
So just for me, because I have other health issues, I for more over a decade now, I've been very skeptical of modern medicine and what it pushes as, cures or whatnot to stuff. So for that, I don't even take a flu shot. I don't take aspirin. Like
Yeah.
I don't take any of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get I didn't even want to get my tetanus shots updated, let alone get a COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
So I filed a vaccination waiver, which at the time when I filed it, the lawyer, because I had to hire a whole other lawyer for that, and he was just like, these things used to take like 5 months to get approved, and then COVID happened, So when I filed it, it was at a 21 months processing time, 22 months processing time. When I touched base with him, because I'm still waiting 2 years now since I filed this. So when I touched base with him back in February, he's like, yeah, now it's a 33-month processing time. And we haven't heard any updates on yours. And what sucks about this is like when you file for immigration, there's no one that you can just reach out to. There's no phone number you can call. You just file your paperwork and you check for updates on the website, and that's it. There's no one you can reach out to see if you can, or even if you can expedite it. You can't even expedite it. You can file, you can write a reason why they should expedite it, and then there's a bunch of guidelines that it has to fall in. But even then, at best, it'll expedite it by 6 months if you're lucky and if they take it seriously.
Mm.
So I wrote some emails to one of the state reps of Florida, and I wrote a letter or an email, sorry, to Ron DeSantis, because I'd read of some instances where people had reached out to state reps, and that had actually helped get their papers expedited a bit. That didn't work, so I'm looking to try that again this week or next week, soon, relatively, and also write to RFK Jr., because RFK Jr. has been he's very anti-vaccine, and he's looking to kind of overhaul that whole process. So yeah, it's just still waiting, but we own a house together. We bought a house together in April 2022. Probably not the best time, but he got relocated for his job, so it just kind of worked out that way. It's just like, oh, we might as well just buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
At this point. We're planning to have a family, right? So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate you guys can't live together for stupid reasons.
I know. Like I kind of like, because there's so many snowbirds that go down in the wintertime, right, in Canada. So I was thinking there's like a loophole where you can go down for 6 months at a time and stay in the US without a visa as a Canadian. But it resets like every, I think it's 12 months or something like that in a calendar year. But there's some gray area as to what a calendar year is defined as in this case. So we thought about taking advantage of that, but the job market is just fucking terrible. I'm trying to make YouTube work so I can, down the road when we do have kids, I can raise our child instead of having to depend on daycares and stuff like that. I work in education, and I do not trust the education system whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't trust it at all, right? So it's like when we do finally have a kid or kids, I want us to both be financially stable, but also I will have the opportunity to just be a stay-at-home mom and at least homeschool our kids for as long as up to 10th grade. I'm after 10th grade it's a little wobbly, especially for the math, but like
Yeah.
up to 10th grade, like I'm comfortable teaching all of the subjects. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a passion, but also I'd like it to be, financially beneficial.
Yeah. 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 You say you turned 34 this year. I
Yeah.
turned 34 this year, so we're the same age.
Oh shit. Yay.
What do you know?
Oh man, and you've already been divorced. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And interestingly, I have not changed my view on this, and you actually said this as you were telling me your story, how you guys just knew that you guys were the ones for each other.
Yeah.
I had that same feeling with my ex-wife. We had only known each other at all for about 5 or 6 months before we got married.
Oh wow.
We were only dating for like 3 months before we got married. But it's even funnier because at the time, I wasn't even right wing, but at the time, I didn't even believe in marriage. But the reason I wanted to marry her was to make just to make a statement to her family, mostly, but also to her, that I was serious, that I wasn't just some guy she's fucking. No, I wanted everybody to know that I
So,
genuinely love this woman and I want to spend my life with her. It
oh,
was purely symbolic, even though I didn't think marriage itself had a purpose at the time. My views have definitely changed since then. But once I knew, I was like, yeah, I want to be with you. And I'd never had that feeling before. Like not even with my first. Even with
it's
my first, I never I don't even think it even crossed my mind to marry her. I just knew I liked her, and we grew up together and all that stuff. But yeah, with my ex-wife, I just got this feeling of like we should get married. Yeah,
it's funny how it's just like it's just the one person, just the right kind of circumstances can make you kind of flip your mind. Because I mean, for me, I'd always wanted to get married. I was also for the longest time, oh, I'm going to wait till I get married. The first relationship I ever, like, proper relationship I got into, because there was a guy in high school, but it was just kind of like, oh, we were kind of exclusive, but it wasn't dating. We didn't really do anything or go on dates, so I don't count it. But I got into my first serious relationship at 24, and we were together for almost 3 years, and we got engaged. And I just kind of, I don't know. I think in many regards, I was trying to settle in that case, because I guess what ended up breaking that off is I realized that, oh, I want to have kids, and I don't see myself having kids with you. So it's just like
yeah,
it feels unfair to continue the relationship when, like, just I knew deep down in my bones that I can't be, I'm not going to be with you forever. So,
yeah. Oh, that's a perfect segue.
oh, okay.
We definitely need to get into our views of women in general. But
Okay.
before we do, you said like you didn't want to have kids with this guy.
Mhm.
Everyone I've been with, that I've at least apart from the one I told you about where I knew it wasn't going to last, we didn't have
Yeah.
this conversation. But with all the other ones, we did,
Mhm.
and they were all willing to have a kid with me. I noticed. In
Oh.
hindsight, I've noticed this. Like they were all, and even the one that was older than me, or
Mhm.
I've been with a few that were older, but the one that was 16 years older,
Yeah.
she already had two kids. My stepsons through her were only like 3 and 6 years younger than me, basically
Oh my
my
gosh.
basically my age.
Wow.
But even she was willing to have another child with me. In
You
hindsight,
got you got the juice.
I, but I just kind of wonder, like, what was it that made all of them okay with the idea? Like, even my ex-wife, we actually did have a kid, but when we first talked about it, she admitted she didn't want kids at all.
Mhm.
She was not interested in being a mother. And I asked her, like, well, what do you want to do with your life? And she said she didn't know. And I was like, well, what did you want to be when you were a kid? And she's like, well, I didn't know back then either. I was like, everyone knows what they want to be
Oh.
when they're a kid. Like, you didn't want to be a princess or something?
Yeah.
She said,
Right.
no,
Even
not
if it's
even that.
outlandish, there's always that there was some desire to be something. Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently she didn't even have that. It's like
It's a little
completely
strange.
aimless existence here. But I
Yeah.
wanted a kid with her, and
Mhm.
she was willing to get off birth control, and she got pregnant. But yeah, I wonder, just in hindsight, I still can't figure this out unless it's just, I don't know, am I just that good looking or something? But like, why were all of them okay with the idea of having a kid with me? I don't
Mhm.
know. I am, because we are going to get into like our views of women.
Okay. All right.
So I have to clear this up, as petty as it sounds. I have to clear this up.
Mhm.
I'm not some like zit covered, short, fat incel. I'm not unattractive. I think I'm very attractive. And in
Mm-hmm.
my personal opinion, I think I'm getting more attractive with age. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
just a guy thing, but
I think that's a guy thing,
I'm also
definitely.
6'4". 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
awesome genetics. I have great genes. Thanks, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one good thing you ever gave me. But yeah. So my views of women do not come from like, oh, why won't they sleep with me? I've never had trouble getting a woman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone who's gonna accuse me of being an incel, I've never had trouble with it. And I've seen like one picture of you, Vex. You're not bad
Mm-hmm.
looking either. So like we're both good to go as far as
Mm-hmm.
like finding a mate goes. Although like you're not attracted to women, obviously, so like it's not entirely the same with you. You get my point though. Like
I get your point, yeah.
we're not like our views do not come from a place of like just deep envy of like why won't anyone be with us. Neither of
Mm-hmm.
us are in that boat.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, let's talk about our views of women that actually kind of inspired this whole show. When
Yes.
you and Spoon were talking about this, and you kind of talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What what comment was it that like actually like gave me the idea for this show? I don't remember now.
Was it the unhinged rant I had on the last Wang in the
Yeah,
Whitelist by
yeah, you
chance?
did have an unhinged rant, and I remember you talking about like driving or something. I don't know if that was the moment I got the idea for the
Oh,
show, but yeah, like you're just as passionate about this as I am.
it is extremely rare that I get that angry, first of all, about something, but also that I get that angry and unhinged on a stream about something. I don't think that's ever happened on a stream. And it was just like, I was just so fed up that I couldn't stop. The floodgates opened. Um, Sorry. So, what is your question?
It wasn't really a question. Just well, I know. I guess that is a question. So, what generally are your views of women? And I guess I'll start off.
Yes,
It's
you go
probably
ahead.
more important if I do it anyway, or if I start anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I should have, I should have learned the nature of women when I was a little kid because my mother is a complete piece of shit, and everyone in our family agrees with that. They just don't want to admit
Okay.
it. So
All right.
yeah, I'll just speak for everyone, I guess. They wouldn't like it if they heard that, and they will because some of them stalk my online content. But anyway, my mother, maybe this is just like what happens to women when they're intelligent. Like she is a smart woman, and that might be her problem, but
Mm-hmm.
she's fucking crazy. Anyway, so she grew up in a devoutly Catholic family, and they don't believe in birth control, and
Mm-hmm.
so I guess she keeps that belief as well. She, as far as I know, anyway, she has never used birth control in any way, but she's also never been married, and I know Catholics are not
Oh.
cool with that. So
Okay.
she picks and chooses like what parts of Catholicism she follows, but anyway, she's never used birth control as far as I know, and she's never had an abortion as far as I know. But she's also
Okay.
never been married, and she had 7 kids, 7,
Uh.
with 4 different men.
Oh.
Good times.
Isn't that highly frowned upon in
Yes,
Catholicism?
yes,
Okay. Not just the premarital part, but women having multiple.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's what happened. That's how I came into being.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think I might, as far as I know, I think I might be her only like one night stand baby. Like I think with the other guys, she had some sort of relationship with. And my father, she also had a relationship with like 10 years prior, but they broke it off. But she just like stopped by for a night or two, and that's how I got conceived.
Oh my goodness.
Just, but yeah, she just like when she was young, she just went around just sleeping with guys. Just what she
Just
did.
raw dogging. Just
Yeah,
raw dogging.
yeah. And by the
Oh
way,
my
the only
god.
reason I know how I was conceived is because my father told me, even though I asked him not to tell me.
Oh no.
He just started talking about it, and I was like, okay, I don't want to hear this. I'm cool with living the rest of my life not knowing this story. And he just kept talking anyway. So okay, I guess I know now how I came into being. Anyway, my mother had 7 kids, and she, to make a really complex story simple, like a little oversimplified, she didn't really try to take care of us. She just had us and took care of us as long as she really had to, but we were taken from her. Her first her first kid was taken from her, and he was raised by our grandparents, by her parents,
Okay.
and the rest of us, she had one at a time, obviously, and she tried to take care of us, sort of, but the state took us away from her, and we were put in the foster care system. And after that, she never tried again, like not even a little bit. We visited her, just to be fair, like we visited her for like 2 or 3 years. We visited her,
Okay.
and then it just stopped. It just suddenly stopped, and even to this day, I still haven't seen her. I have not seen her since I was 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And the more I learn about this woman, like, and I hear story after story of like things that don't involve her kids, I just think like, you are one selfish piece of shit. But that still wasn't enough to really teach me anything about women, because I just kind of thought of it as my mother. Like, it's just my mother.
It's separate almost
She's a
from.
piece of shit, not women in general.
Yes.
And then I, grew up. I had a childhood, made it to my 20s. All through that time, I observed things here and there about women. Like, yeah, they lose control of their emotions a lot, and they do all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Nothing really taught me. I never put the pieces together. I didn't. I didn't even want to believe that there were pieces to put together. The only through line I had was that they're smaller than us. Like, they're just shorter than men. I thought that was the only real difference between men and women. Oh, and they can give birth and we can't. But
Okay.
not substantial differences. Finally, it was my ex-wife. The whole manner of like how she left, why she left, and what she did after she left threw me over the edge.
Oh.
Like, we had a
Wait, hold
child.
on.
What?
What
What?
did she do after you left?
Oh, she accused me of all kinds of shit that wasn't remotely true. To try to take our daughter from me entirely. Yeah, like the whole like single mom, like she just became a single mom, like walking stereotypical single mom.
Oh no.
Yeah. When I married her, when I first got with her, I would never think that she would do something like that. But when she told me that, yep, this is happening, she's gonna divorce me, and she's gonna try to take our kid, and she's gonna want child support, like, just all of it. When like, she laid it down too, like she laid it all out in front of me, like, yeah, I'm gonna try to do this. That's when it clicked. I'm like, this is a woman
Question.
problem. This is not.
In
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Well, just that it was. That's when it clicked. Like, I thought, like, I married this woman in part because I didn't think she was like so many other stories that I had heard.
Yeah.
But when she just laid it out in front of me, like, yep, this is going to happen. I'm going to try to take custody. I want monthly payments, just all of it. That's when it clicked. I'm like, this is a woman thing. And once I realized that, that's when I became right wing. Because, being left wing means like you think everyone is equal, or at least everyone should be equal.
Yes.
And like I told you, I didn't think there were any substantial differences between men and women apart from size and women can give birth. But once I realized that, like, I have seen women behave the same way my entire life, I realized you are very different creatures from us. And that's what made me right wing. It was in that moment I became right wing.
The nature of women just made you flip completely.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, what were you going to ask me?
So no, my question was like in hindsight now that you kind of are able to look back and see, who she is and, how your relationship played out. Were the signs there? Were there any signs that she was going to turn into who she turned into?
Yeah, like the guy that she left me for. Sorry. Yeah,
No
the guy
worries.
that she left me for, even though she'll never admit it, I could tell she liked him a lot during our marriage, and she met him like halfway into our marriage.
Oh my God.
But even more than that, in hindsight, I realized like she's always been a selfish person. Like, I told you she had no desire to be a mother. There were tons of little clues like that I just chose not to pay attention to, because it would have shattered my worldview. Like, first of all, I loved her. I didn't want her to be a monster, so there was that block. But if I had just understood women, I wouldn't have gotten into that mess to begin with.
Understandable. Yeah.
She was with someone before she was with me. She
Mm-hmm.
had a boyfriend, I forget his name, that she had for like 3 or 4 years. Her
Mm-hmm.
first boyfriend. And when I told her I liked her, like this is how we got together. I told her I liked her, and I didn't think it would go any further than that. And I didn't intend for it to go anywhere because she was already with someone. I wasn't keen on like destroying that relationship. But after I told her, because we worked together,
Okay.
she got even more friendly with me at work, and I thought she was going to avoid me at work now, because now she knows I like her, and she's probably going to tell all of her girlfriends, like, oh, yeah, he likes me, and yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. But
Mm.
instead, she got friendlier with me at work, and then she tells me one day that she's leaving her boyfriend. And she also tells me that, and this is a bit of an oversimplification, but she tells me she's leaving him, and she also tells me that she needs a place to stay. And of course, in hindsight, I realized like that was just pure manipulation. Like, she was clearly like asking me if she could stay with me. But yeah, she says she's leaving him, but she needs a place to stay because her parents won't let her move back in because she has a lot of trouble getting along with her family. And so I offer her, yeah, you can stay with me if you need to. And for the first day or so, we acted as if we were just simply friends. Until one night I told her, it's difficult to live with you because I have feelings for you. So I just want to get this cleared up. Like, how do you feel about me? And she said that she likes me and that she wants to be with me as well. I don't know why she couldn't just clear that up before, but whatever. Anyway, I find out the way she left her boyfriend was very abrupt. It was kind of
Okay.
out of nowhere, unexpected, no build up to it. She just tells him one night that she's leaving him. And as
Okay.
it happens, she went straight from him to me. And
Uh,
he starts contacting her a lot. He's like trying to ask her like, why did you leave me like this? You know, this is like we were together for 4 years and this is how you leave me. This is really cold, which I agreed with. He calls me one day because I offered to talk to him. I was like, okay, whatever you need to say, whatever you need to ask, I'll talk to you this one time. And yeah, that he tells me all the things like this is how she left and I don't know why she would leave me like this. And I told him straight up like, yeah, that was cold. That was really really cold. Yeah, you guys were together for 4 years and she made it look like leaving you was effortless. it it didn't take any sort of emotional toll on her. So
she
that,
legit just got with you because it was convenient at the time, which
I
is
guess,
crazy.
yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
She just wanted to be with me and then she just got with me. That should have been a
Wow.
red flag. It should have been. I should have taken that as a clue, as a sign of the kind of person she is. But, you know, I had really, really strong feelings for her, and I just thought, like, well, maybe she was just being cold because she just didn't want to drag it out, you know, for everybody's sake. She didn't want to make it more painful by dragging it out, so maybe that's why she did it. No, heartless bitch. So yeah, there were signs. I was
Okay.
answering your original question. There
Oh yeah,
were
yeah, I got
signs
you.
from the
Hmm.
beginning. I just chose to ignore them.
Love makes you blind.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But there's with all of my relationships and even with women that I wanted to be with but it never happened, just with all of them, there are signs of don't be with this person. She's a piece of shit.
Hmm.
And I think it just comes with honestly, I think it just comes with being the weaker sex. I think that's why women are the way they are. They are the weaker sex. And so, since they didn't adapt, since they didn't evolve to get their way through force like men, and they also don't have that security of force, you know, if they're in danger, they don't have the option of fighting back. They Women evolved and adapted to be manipulators.
Hmm.
And that just inherently makes you less moral when you really think about it. Like your entire means of survival is manipulating people. I don't hate women. And if I did, I wouldn't have trouble admitting it. Trust me, I have a lot of opinions that people would find deeply offensive, and I admit them no problem. I don't
Hmm.
hate women, but I am honest about them. Like, they are manipulators, they are selfish. In my opinion, my strongly held opinion, they're not as intelligent as men. I understand them, and I think men should take the right precautions when it comes to them. The way I see hatred is like wanting an entire group of people to be exterminated. That's what I think hatred is, and I certainly do not feel that way toward women. I just think like, you know, they have the unfortunate circumstance of being the weaker sex and evolving as the weaker sex, evolving to be manipulators. It's how they survive. I don't entirely hold it against them actually, but I am honest about it and it does irritate me, but at the same time I don't really think they chose to be this way. Not
Just to
necessarily.
clarify, so you don't really hold it against them because it's basically how they've evolved to survive?
lack of a better way of phrasing it, yeah.
Like,
Like,
I know that's very loosely putting it, but like in one way or another, their ability to manipulate has ensured their survival.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Interesting.
Why? What do you think?
No, no, if I may, I do hate women.
Oh,
um, I I see what you mean with your definition, where it's like, oh, you want them to be exterminated or whatever, right? Rather, I think women need to be culled. Though I also acknowledge that my distaste for women stems from the fact that we live in a very liberal world in the West, and
mm,
that is in equal parts men's fault because they allowed this to happen.
yes.
Um, so for me, I understand that you're. So hold on, just to clarify. So how long ago did you get divorced then?
Um, she left. It was November 2018, and it was
Okay.
official. It was official the following September, I think.
Okay, so we're looking at 6, 7 years basically. You've been separated now, and that's when your awakening sort of happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I have known for most of my life that women fucking suck.
I mean, I knew it too, but I just didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to pay attention that closely.
I understand. So like I have always had issues maintaining female friendships. And I know that there's like if you look at, kind of like self-help or whatever, they're just like, "Oh, well, if people aren't sticking around you, then it's probably an issue with you." So in that regard, I kind of became very introspective, because I kept trying to figure out like why can't I maintain friendships, and I was so desperate to have like that close group of female friends for a very long time. And for like, here and there, I had best friends that were girls, but they were always very manipulative of me because for most of my life, I've just been, or I had been scared or overly self conscious and doubted my own self worth as an individual. So I always picked friends that were just fucking terrible, in all honesty. They didn't treat me very well. They're very manipulative. They're very mean. And they just kind of walked all over me, and I just accepted it because I was so desperate to have those friends. So somewhere around 2009 is where I really woke up to it. And I remember I actually
Woke. Just kidding.
oh yeah, yeah, I woke up. We'll say I'd always held like some conservative or right leaning values because both of my parents are very right leaning. Like they come, so I'm Sri Lankan. So they're I guess first generation immigrants to Canada or whatever. So they assimilated and whatnot, but like they still hold very conservative values because of the state that they came from. They came from a country in the midst of a civil war. So I grew up with a lot of those values, and despite having, some liberal thoughts for a time in terms of like sexuality and stuff, most of my thoughts were more right leaning. And my thoughts on relationships, more or less, were more right leaning. Like, even in the case of the open relationship, it was like I didn't take advantage of it because I did not view relationships like that. But I could accept, kind of, to an extent, the biological urge for a man to spread his seed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, so I remember in first year university, 2009, 2010, we had been given this assignment to write about. It was to write a speech about something. I can't remember what the exact parameters were, but my speech was how women suck. And I remember this alienated a lot of people for the duration of my 4 years there.
Nice.
Because I was just I recognized all of these issues, but I just wasn't putting two and two together because I was so desperate to have those female friends. And it's just kind of like, as I kind of had relationships, like friendships, fizzle out, and I got proper hindsight into things, I realize the same thing. It's that women are very manipulative, and even outside of relationships, they either A, just want to be the center of attention for everything, or B, they just want to find out how they can extract more value or use out of you. So like there's a female friend I had for a number of years. Um she's really mentally fucked up, I'm not going to lie. She had a lot of mental health issues, a lot of physical health issues. She'd been hold on. How safe do we want to be with words on this?
I don't know what YouTube's rules are. I think you can't say RAPE.
Okay, all right.
Uh, I think.
I'll go by YouTube's rules because I know what YouTube's rules are. Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't
Um.
care. Not at all.
Okay. Gotcha. So she had been raped at a very young age, and every woman in her family had been raped. It was crazy. Her mother had been raped. Her grandmother had been raped. Like their first sexual encounter. Both. So she was. There are four kids, three daughters, right? All three of those daughters, both of her sisters had been raped. It's it's some weird prophecy of this family. Um, so there's some issues around sexuality there as a result, and the lines were kind of blurred um, in how this family approached sexuality as well. But she had gotten together with this. Well, it was two separate relationships. The first one was in high school, and they were kind of dead set that they were going to get married, and he had bought her like a like a cubic zirconia ring or whatever because that was all he could afford. He came from a very kind of mentally unstable family as well. But it's just because I was a virgin for so long and I was always the only virgin in the group sort of deal. So like this, she and this first boyfriend always approached me of like, oh well, we really want to have a threesome, and we want to have it with you, and they kind of like tried to groom me into that role for a while, and I didn't realize it until, many years later that this is what they were doing.
Hmm.
Then they broke up, and she got together with his college roommate when he went to college. And that was very strange because, like your ex wife, it was just she jumped straight into that next relationship.
Hmm.
She even started staying at their dorm while they two were still roommates together. Um, but then the same thing happened there, which now she was trying to groom me again to be the threesome member in their relationship. Again, I didn't in like at the time I just didn't see this as anything strange. Then she kind of committed herself to like a mental health like stay for 72 hours, I think it was. And she was my best friend, so I was very concerned about her. I went to go visit her and stuff like that while she was there, and she told me like, "Hey, can you just like her boyfriend, right? Can you just like call and talk to him cuz like I'm worried cuz he's not very social and I don't want him cuz he also oh my god, he comes from a family where incest just runs rampant basically. And the stories I'd heard,
Ah.
it's just yeah. So he also has this weird view of sexuality, or at least was raised in that strange environment as well.
Hmm.
Um, so like I was just like, yeah, it's not a problem. So like I was working full time because I was out of university. I got my first job, so I was working a lot and I didn't have a lot of free time. And I remember just like casually, it was like we had a conversation. And I was just like, oh, like, hey, like, how you doing? Like, what are you up to? And he's like, yeah, I'm just like, oh, what are you? I'm just like, oh, like, I just got home, just got out of the shower, I'm just chilling, right? It was the got out of the shower thing. And I didn't see this person sexually whatsoever. And so, the female friend, she finally is released from her mental health hold or whatever. And she's oddly quiet. And like a week after that happened, she calls me and she's like, I don't think we should be friends anymore because you came on to my boyfriend. I'm like, what?
I did.
Like it's yeah, I'm just like again, like you're the one who through two relationships has been trying to groom me to be the third person in your threesome. But I'm just like, how did I hit on your boyfriend? She's like, oh, well, you said you got out of the shower in a phone call. It's like, I
Mm,
remember that phone call. Like, I literally just said, like, hey, I just got home, just got out of the shower, just hanging out. That's all I said. I wasn't hitting on your boyfriend. Like, I have no interest in your boyfriend whatsoever. What are you talking about?
mm,
And she just went into this weird justification and this weird like she started like taking all of these things out of context, like, oh well, you always do this and you do this and you're flirting with all of these people. It's like, what? This is when became aware that apparently for girls, if they see you as competition,
mm-hmm.
like if they see another female as competition, basic conversational etiquette can be seen as flirting. So when
Yeah.
I talk to people normally, I will look you in the eye and hold conversation because A, that's how I was raised, and B, it's respectful to give your full attention to someone as you're talking to them.
Yep.
And this was taken as flirting, and I thought this was a one-off. But I come to learn that over the many female friendships I'd had, all of them had been so insecure over maintaining eye contact in a conversation. I'm I'm so baffled. I just like I don't and it's just like and as I went from female friendship to female friendship to female friendship, it's just like every time I notice all these girls are just using me to get some either to derive self-worth or to get rides or to get
Yep.
money or something.
Yep.
There's always something that they're looking for, but the friendship itself doesn't really matter. And the second that they feel that you are a threat to their relationship, because I didn't start dating till I was 24. So for most of my life I was always the single girl in hangouts. But
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't think I was being flirtatious in just, cuz the other thing too is like I like girly things, but I've always had more of a tomboyish or boyish demeanor. Um, I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's so I guess people also took that as, oh, she's trying to get with all the guys. She's a pick me.
Well, I have to admit, I haven't paid that close attention to you.
Okay, I gotcha. I guess it's because a lot of people have commented about this, like since I've come into YouTube, just like you're a woman, but you basically operate like a man. It's
Well,
like,
I've noticed you're based, like, and that's why I reached out to you for this show. Like, that's great, but I never thought of like, oh, she's a tomboy. Like, no, I just thought you're based.
I gotcha. No, it's Spoon says it a lot now, and even like like here and there in the Discord, it's like people, oh, like Vex is a girl, but she's basically a guy, so we don't really counter it. So it just it's a lot of women. I've kind of like looking back on all of these friendships. It's just like a lot of these chicks have seen me as competition because they misinterpret my naturally more masculine behavior as trying to be a pick me girl and trying to be the girl, the it girl in every situation.
You really can't
When that's
win with
never,
that. Like
you
no
can't.
matter what you do, if you're just simply good looking, if you're just simply good looking and you don't repel men, you're just automatically just doing whatever you can to get men. Just
Hey,
you
and
can't
here's
win.
the thing is I again because I've had so very little self-confidence for most of I don't think of myself as very attractive. Like if I were to rate myself out of 10, I would rate myself a 3 out of 10 on a good day, right? So I have never ever seen myself as like genuine competition in terms of attraction. But it's like again, as I come to kind of look back on it, it's like, oh, but all the other women around me, despite what I think, are seeing me that way.
Yeah.
There was an instance where I worked at a nonprofit a few years ago, before I transitioned into working in. So I have 2 degrees. So I have a degree in policy because I wanted to go into law at one point. And then I went into environmental engineering. So I was working for an environmental a nonprofit, for a while, and it was all run by women. That was a whole other
Yeah.
thing. Okay. Oh god, they were all fucking nightmares basically. Um, but after, so my contract was dependent on government funding, and they had to terminate it early because the funding just kind of dried up for it. So I remember getting a message, because for me, like the way I in the wintertime, I just kind of wear leggings and a hoodie. That's always been my thing. It's comfortable. There's no effort, and because I'm also a bit more of a bustier woman, I'm able to kind of hide that because, as I'm sure you're aware, some people if you wear a tank top when you have a chest versus no chest, people will interpret one as too sexual and one as totally fine,
Yeah,
right?
you can't really win
So
there either.
exactly. So just like, oh, I it was a casual atmosphere, so hoodie and leggings, it's a safe bet because I'm not showing anything and whatnot. Um, but for some reason, so I got a message like a couple weeks after I left that job, and they're just like, we found this pair of lace underwear in the bathroom, and we were wondering if they were yours. And I'm just thinking, like, okay, well, first of all, because I'm wearing hoodies all the time, you never get a chance to see what underwear I'm wearing. But second of all, why the fuck would you automatically think it was mine? And why would I be leaving my panties at work when there's no men there? I, I
Well,
when
in
did
all
the fuck
fairness,
leave?
someone did.
Someone did, right? But it's just the fact that, because like I even, did you check with anyone else? It's just like, well, no one else would wear these except for you. But it's like, how would you know they were mine though?
No one else
Like,
would.
right? That's what I was. I was like, I'm genuine. Like, why? Like, so you thought that they were mine? Because, but like, again, it's not like I'm wearing anything where my shirt's gonna ride up and you can see my underwear. I'm wearing a hoodie that is going below my butt cheeks because I don't like wearing leggings as pants alone. I think that's kind of tacky. You can wear it with pants if it's covering your butt, basically. Your shirt is covering your butt.
I think of oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just to finish. I just yeah. It's just for some reason women have always seen me as sexual competition, even in non-sexual situations.
Yeah.
Just for the way I am.
I think of Mean Girls as a documentary, honestly.
It really is. It really
That's one of the
is.
reasons I unashamedly love that movie, because I do see it as a documentary. Like, this is just how women work.
It's that film is over 20 years old now, and it still is as true today as it was in 2004.
It might
Which
be
is
even more true
crazier.
today because, like, standards have fallen since it was made.
Right. But it's just like that, like this is why like there's teenagers that will watch that movie now and still be able to relate with it. It's why they made that
Yeah.
musical, and they tried to, because the nature is still very much the same, and it doesn't hold any punches back, which is even better. Like every female that shows up in that film, it represents like one kind of female archetype that you see in modern society that we've all either encountered or overlooked or stepped on or been friends with. And
Yeah. It's basically just women, the movie.
women the movie. Yeah, yeah. It's almost a must watch in that regard.
Yeah, I've never been shy about the fact I love that movie, and most of the reason is because it's realistic, and the rest of the reason is because Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, she looks great. It's such a shame what happened to her.
Such a shame.
But
What a
though
loss. Like, what a
she
loss.
seems to have found a good surgeon to reverse all the fillers work, because now that she's had a kid and she's gotten that better surgeon, she looks better.
I think, and actually, this is a good point to get on for the show. I think, because like I'll admit it, she is my biggest crush ever. Like, I'm
Okay.
generally into redheads, but the problem I've encountered with redheads is that they tend to not be good looking at all. But when they are good looking, holy shit.
When they're a 10, they're a 10, basically.
They don't even have to be a 10. Like, if they have naturally red hair and they're a 7, then they're a 10. But if they're a
okay.
10 without the red hair, but they also have red hair, they're like a 12. At least in my view. Like, I love redheads. But with Lindsay Lohan, like, I think all she really needed, her entire adult life, was just a man that loved her. And I think she would have been fine. I think where she went wrong was like having parents that didn't really know what the fuck they're doing, and they also exploited her fame.
Yes.
And yeah, I think because obviously as my biggest crush, like I'm gonna pay a little more attention to her than other celebrities.
Mhm. Mhm.
From what I've observed, I think she is a good person deep down. I think she just didn't know what she was doing. And now that she's found a good man and she's had a child with him, you'll notice like she cleaned everything up. She's
Yeah.
basically fixed now.
Mhm.
But if she had had that from the beginning, she wouldn't have gone down that route. So it's
It's
unfortunate, but that's all she needed really in my view.
No, I'm actually in pretty much agreement with you because like Amanda Bynes is like a case I like to
Oh
draw
yeah.
parallels with, right?
That's tragic
Uh,
too. Holy shit.
right. I think just like how Amanda Bynes is sitting on a wealth of information, I think Lindsay is also doing that. But the again, like you mentioned, the great thing about Lindsay is that that she found who she's supposed to be with. She found her calling. She's tapered out now, so she's been able to kind of reverse course in that regard.
Hmm.
But it's just, I guess, like they're both good examples of kind of why women don't work in, how do I phrase this? Women don't work as an asset outside of biology, essentially. Because you look at
Yes.
all of these you look at all these female starlets, right? And they all have some issue with them, one or another. They don't really handle exploitation well. They don't handle spotlight well. They don't handle public or social interactions very well. And yes, while there's an equal amount of male, stars or celebrities that have kind of gone down the drugs and partying and casual sex route as well, they more often than not they end up finding the balancing act and they're fine. The women don't,
I think
right?
I think women need to belong to someone. They need or just
Yes.
belong in general. It's a man 99% of the time, but it could also be like, becoming a nun or something. But
Yeah.
either way, they need to belong. Whereas men, I think, need to find a purpose. Like, what is the point of me being bigger, stronger, smarter if I don't have anything to apply it to? So men need a
Hmm.
purpose and women need to belong. Otherwise, they both make a mess of their existence. I've
Right.
known several men who committed suicide, and
Oh.
I didn't I didn't know them that well. One of them I should have known well. I won't get into that, at least not in this episode. But
Hmm.
I've known several men that have committed suicide, and I think that's what it comes down to is they just didn't know what their purpose was. They didn't really have anything to live for, and I'm
Hmm.
kind of surprised women don't commit suicide just as often because I see them become complete train wrecks even more often than men.
Hmm.
But yeah,
um I mean, if we're talking about kind of, I guess, female to male offing themselves rates, because that's a no word on
oh
YouTube as
yeah,
well.
I should probably like mute that or something in
Yeah,
post production.
just say in Minecraft at the end of it. There you go.
In Minecraft, yeah,
um, it's so the way I kind of see it. So with because okay, we live in a we live in a feminist utopia right now. Let's be honest, okay?
yeah,
If we look at the West right now, every opportunity caters more to women than it does men. The legal system is more in favor of women than it is men. Even when it comes to just basic social interactions or what is considered like proper norms and whatnot, proper behavior, it's all in favor of the woman versus the man. Would you say that's a fair?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah. So, and I know it sounds strange to say that, but yeah, we're there already. That's why these dumb fucking feminists have nothing better to complain about aside from, oh, I want to be able to abort a baby at 9 months. So
or after it's born.
right. So when it comes to kind of like male living, phrases male mortality,
Yeah,
uh, the support systems just aren't there because they're always catering to women. So now
true.
that we have, yeah, now that we have this society that where women can basically do what men can do, is what they say. Even if they fall on hard times, there is always something else there that will prop them up. So I think a great example is sex work right now.
Yeah,
So even if a woman has no prospects in terms of employment, in terms of family, in terms of romantic relationships, there will always be a door for her to open with sex work. So she may not off herself right now because she can make a few hundred or a few thousand bucks a month, shoving, her
yeah,
cooter on camera, or becoming getting into a feeder relationship, or being in some weird like dom,
yeah,
relationship with someone online. With men, when they hit that rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go, and the support systems that should be there to help them, become mentally stronger or to find employment, to find a place to live, it just doesn't cater to them anymore because the society does not see them as equals. It, if anything, I would say it sees them as basically lesser humans
yeah,
at this point, which is a really big shame because up until 100 years ago, we can say, and that's even then, that's a generous number. Men are the reason that we have the society and the world and the values and the luxuries that we have now.
yeah. And this probably fuels how we both feel towards women, but
Hmm.
whether they realize that or not, they don't care. They just think,
Yeah.
well, I have this now. We have this system now that benefits me. I don't care how we got here. I just want to benefit from it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So I like this is in part like some of the things that kind of fuels my hatred for women. I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, but even the exceptions I find, you can still find kind of the cracks and the issues with them. Um, on if all women just had a man, I believe it's funny. All women says, "I don't want to live in The Handmaid's Tale," but then you read all of the romance literature that women eat up, and they want to be in The Handmaid. Like they want that. They want to be owned. They want to be subjugated.
yeah,
Life is so much easier for them, first of all, but also there's no, because they have the power. Now their biological urges feel kind of misplaced or lost, and
hmm,
they're trying to find alternatives to fulfill it. Right?
yeah,
But yeah, I hate women because what they've done to society. I hate women because what they make sane women like me feel like and look like to most people. And I hate ultimately what they've done to men who should be put on a pedestal far more than these women should, in all honesty.
yeah. We should be more arrogant about our accomplishments, but we didn't do it for glory. Well, I mean, a lot of it was for glory, but not that kind of glory.
Not
Not.
that kind of glory.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but I do agree with you with everything you just said.
Hmm.
I've been in that kind of I've been in that place before, more than once actually, and
Sorry, which place?
wanting to not be alive anymore.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I in my teenage years, I kind of felt it, and it's you're right when it comes to men. I think it's just for anyone kind of in that situation that is like you suddenly find yourself unable to find purpose, right? And
Yeah,
that big, I mean, for at least for me, that was like a big just like what is the point? What point do I even have? Why even bother?
yeah, and I think what got me out of that, because it didn't stop until I became a father. I wasn't
Oh,
I wasn't depressed. Let's see, the last time I was that low was oh, I don't remember. Actually, no, it might have been after my breakup, right before I met my wife. time. Yeah, I was in a low spot again after that because yeah, I was really depressed about like cuz my mother kind of fucked me up. Like, I always had issues of feeling like I matter to anyone. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I took breakups even harder than a man should. So
Oh,
after
okay.
the breakup I had before I met my ex-wife, I took that particularly hard,
Mm-hmm.
and I attempted again, and I was 25 at the time. So yeah, this was
Mm-hmm.
well past my teenage years. I've I've always had that struggle of asking myself what's the point. That's always been my best friend calls it my demon. But
Mm.
my thoughts have never gotten that low since I became a father because now I absolutely have a purpose and I always will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never gotten to that point since my baby was born.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, men need something to live for. And yeah, still trying to think of
Women
what
not so much. Women not so much.
I envy women in this regard. Like, it would be nice if, you could just find purpose from yourself. Like, well, just acquire as many resources as you possibly can, no matter what it takes to get them, no matter who you have to lie to or deceive, no matter
True.
no matter what it takes. Just live for yourself and just acquire as much as you can, and that's good enough. Like, I wish it was that easy.
It's funny because I still don't think they find purpose out of that. I'm just still very. I don't care what year we're in. The best way for all of society to operate, and for men to be happy and have purpose, and for women to also be happy and also have purpose, is first of all for them to understand their places in relation to each other,
Hmm.
but also a woman should always be the pillars that lift up a man. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what that man is building towards or what he is journeying towards. She's, I guess, what you could say, the wind beneath his wings, to be a little bit corny, right?
Nice.
Um, that's how I've always, because my parents had an arranged marriage, right? So they met a day before they got married.
Oh.
And yeah, and they've been together for over 30 years now. They've been together for a while, right? But as much as my mother has tried to find a purpose outside of that, because again, she comes from a very, it's an Asian culture, right? So it's if you're a woman, you get married, you support your husband, you have children, that's your duty. There's nothing else that you should really have.
Hmm.
But she's always tried to find like a career of her own, something that she can call her own, and not kind of be completely dependent on my father for that regard. Um, but even like growing up here in Canada with more liberal views and equal opportunity for men and women and whatnot, I've always kind of still harbored that belief that because it's also just like an inherent thing that you can choose to ignore it. I feel like a lot of women do ignore it, but like ultimately, like men do run the world. They built the world. As a woman, there's really not much that I can contribute at this point in history, especially. All I can really do is, again, and I think this is the best thing, like a career won't do it. The best thing a woman will always ever do is have children. Like as a woman, you have the opportunity to give birth and create the next great leaders and builders and
Hmm.
ideologues, philosophers of the world. And I don't see how a career could ever replace that kind of purpose and that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, they've definitely been indoctrinated to to value careers, even though, yeah, like as you just described, it doesn't make any sense because it's like, what do you want to brag about? Like, oh look, I'm a scientist, or do you want to brag about, look, I gave birth to five great scientists
Right. It's like there's truly like
and raised
in
them?
my opinion no greater purpose that you can have as a woman than to do that. And then even if you can't do that, then your soul kind of your drive should be to uplift and support the man that you have chosen to spend your life with or have your family with or whatnot.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, he will always do more than you ever will in the world, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah. I forget which video of Spoon's he said this in, but Spoon once said something that I'll never forget, which is it's not women's purpose to wield power, that's men's purpose. It's their purpose to give it away. And when I first heard Spoon say that, I was like,
Oh,
"Holy shit, that's true!" Like
that is a really good way to put it as well.
uplifting your husband, that's giving power away, or giving
Yeah,
birth, that's creating
giving
life,
power
that's
away.
giving power away.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, that's true. I
that man
never
has such a way with words.
never forgot about it. Yeah, I envy that
Yeah.
because I'm actually a writer.
Oh shit! All
So
right, I'm
here's
trying to write. There you go. I'm trying to write a book, but not that. I'm just trying to write a romance novel because all these romance novels are fucking crappy these
yeah.
days. You show women how it's done.
Here's the problem. This is totally off topic, but here's the problem with me and my writing is like when I was up until about seventh grade, I actually had a vast vocabulary in my everyday speech. Like in just normal conversations, I would use my entire vocabulary. It it was up until middle school, sometime in middle school, that I was at a friend's house, and his friends and his brother's friends just all started like getting on my case about my vocabulary. They're like, "Stop using such big words all the time." Like, and I was like, "Oh, I do that, don't I? Sorry."
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't break the habit immediately, and so I was still kind of doing it throughout the rest of the party, and they just kept getting on my case about it. And after that, and ever since then, I've just been really careful about how I use my words around people. And I've noticed this in my own videos. Like, I speak in a way that I want everybody to understand exactly what I'm saying. So I go out of my way not to use big words or to use speech patterns in general that would make people lose my point or
Mm-hmm.
not grasp my point. So whenever I'm listening to Spoon, I'm just like, oh, I wish I could talk like that and get away with it, because I could, but I just train myself not to anymore. Like speak as if my vocabulary is third, like that of a third grader's.
I feel like it's just a matter of adapting because like I get what you mean. Like there's like for instance when I text message people, I don't use short term at all. Like I will if I say you are, I'm not gonna put the letter U in the little R. I'm gonna put
Yeah,
YOU space ARE, right?
yeah,
And I've done that since I've ever had a phone. And it's always pissed people off. Like, why don't you use short forms? It's just like because it feels pointless to use short forms. Why would I not just use the right word?
yeah. I've never done that either because it just feels like you're trying to. It just feels like you're a retard. Like
Pretty
or
much,
like
yeah.
you're
I
trying
don't
to
want to
come
feel
across
dumb.
as one. Like, no,
Right.
I'm not that stupid.
Right. So it's just like even like I did the same thing. Like when I was a teenager, I would use a lot of words that like my peers wouldn't use at all because I used to love like I used to read a lot more than I do now. Now I tend to watch more movies, but I guess you pick up kind of speech patterns from films as well.
Yeah.
But I found that like working with kids, I've unintentionally taught myself how to turn it on and off. Because like sometimes I'll work with like 4 or 5 year olds and they don't understand like basic words like what's a really basic word? Hold on. I'm trying to remember. There's a word I used yesterday that a kid just didn't understand. Like what does that mean? Um, okay, well I mean this was with like a seventh grader, but it was dilute. She
Hmm.
didn't know what dilute was, right? So it's I've just kind of picked up ways to use like normal common words, or even just slightly above common, like slightly uncommon words. How to adapt them so that anyone can understand, but also how to not talk to your potential audience like they're idiots.
Yeah.
It's a skill to learn. It's a skill to learn, essentially. So it's not a bad thing to want to simplify things for everyone to understand, but it is a skill that you can definitely develop regardless.
Yeah, I should teach myself how to go back and forth. In the movie Watchmen, one of the criticisms people have with it is that what's his name, Ozymandias, the guy who turns out to be a villain,
Yeah.
he switches back and forth between an American and a German accent, and people complain about that, like, oh, the filmmakers just couldn't decide on which accent he'll have, so it's just really inconsistent. Like, no, that's on purpose because he's he's portrayed as the smartest person in the world, and so he just does that because he can. Like that was completely on purpose.
Oh,
I want to,
that's it.
yeah,
Huh.
develop a skill like that if I can. Not like accent wise. I've only ever spoken one language, but I mean just like in the way I speak, my speech patterns.
Where there's a will, there is a way.
Yes.
There you go.
But yeah, back on topic. He, yeah, as you said, where men and women both are the most fulfilled is with each other, for sure. And
And it's
oh, go ahead.
history shows us this. Like, this isn't anything like weird or absurd to even think about. The only reason that mankind has been able to survive as long as it has and progress as much as it has is because that's how we've always lived as a civilization. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, it doesn't matter which century you're in,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter the culture. That's just always how it's been, and it's worked.
Yeah, that's why. To add to what you just said, marriage is a human universal. There's no
Yeah.
civilization you'll ever come across throughout all of history where marriage was not a thing. Like even savage tribes have marriage. And the reason is it solves a whole list of problems
Yes.
very easily. Like
Yep.
men, you know, have someone available at all times to, satisfy them. Uh, it gives women children so they can, they have something to focus on with that energy throughout the day. And when their children grow up, they have grandchildren. It solves a whole list of problems very
Yeah.
easily. That's why
Yeah.
marriage is a human universal. And I despise how everyone in the West treats marriage as if it's just feelings on paper. That's all it is. It's just a relationship through the state for some reason. Like, that's
I think
nonsense. It serves a purpose. We just forgot what that purpose is.
we've been trying to train ourselves to forget that purpose. The most insulting thing, I know this might, because I know there's even some right-leaning people that disagree with this. But when the idea, I remember when they were talking about legalizing gay marriage back in, what was that, like 2005 or something like that?
Yeah, sometime around then, yeah.
Sometime around there, right? So, like, I was in grade school, and I remember talking to I remember my parents talking about this. And I told them, well, I don't have a really, because I was a kid, I didn't know any better, right? Just like, I don't have a problem with gay marriage. And I think it was my mom that said it. She's like, why would you want to give marriage to people that can't actually use it? And I thought about it. And I just,
Mind blown.
right. And I thought about it, just like, wait a second. Because that, like, the institution of marriage, it's, yeah, you can say, oh, well, you get a tax benefit, or, oh, it's just a relationship. But it is, like you said earlier, it's always been the best way to establish both a hierarchy as well as lineage, marriage, right? So it helps propagate our species one way or another, no matter how you look at it. So why would you want to give that to what, I'm sorry, I have to say it, are biological dead ends to the human race?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's why I don't pull any punches when it comes to those people, because like you, I heard this when Sarah Stock was debating that I'll try to keep my language a little watered down. That gay man that she was debating, when he was like, "What does it hurt? You know, who I choose to love. What does it hurt?" And I'm thinking like, you're a dead end. Like, you can't contribute to civilization. You literally can't. In fact, you're a detriment to it because
Yep.
if you want to raise kids, you have to steal someone else's. So it's not just that you're dead weight. You're actually like holding us back a little bit because you're taking people's kids if you choose to raise
Right.
kids, and that's
and
also a whole other subject of its own.
I hate the justification for like, oh, why can't I love who I want to love? Well, first of all, progressive ideology doesn't even recognize marriage as an institution where love is the foremost thing. You guys don't even take marriage seriously anymore. You just think it's a relationship.
Yeah,
So if the ideology that your sexuality and your preference lines up with doesn't even view marriage as the way you claim to view it, what is the point in having it equalized? No one is telling you that you can't love who you want to love. Like, there's, as much as humans are going to try, there are just some things that you are never ever going to be able to fully control or fully get rid of. But at the same time, I don't want you perverting something that has been very beneficial and very sacred to those of us that actually do take it seriously and as a legitimate institution.
yeah. And there's also like one of the many things that marriage solves. One of the many problems it solves is a stable environment for children. It also
Hmm.
solves the problem of having the perspective of men and women. It's like that's another reason that gays should not have quote unquote, as they see it, marriage, because two men or two women, you don't get the perspective of the opposite sex now, and you certainly don't get the perspective of both sexes working with each other.
Yep. You have a completely skewed idea of what male and female are from the get go.
Yep.
And that's probably why we have, in equal ways, so many of these fucking trans children coming out now, or why there's more gay people. I mean, we can also argue that there's the additives in the food and, water certain the frogs gay and all that stuff, right? But
Yeah, a lot of things are contributing to it.
right, but at the same time, we have seen a very progressive kind of destruction of the nuclear unit, and that for the very longest time was, it didn't matter even if you were a little bit tomboyish as a girl or you were a little bit femme as a male, you still had those very clear definitions of male and female that you more or less lived up to or followed or fit into. So
You know what's interesting about tomboys is that they're still very feminine.
yeah.
And I actually don't have an explanation for why that is, but it is something I've noticed. Like, they're still plenty feminine. They just like doing boyish stuff. There's this.
I just some evolve a little bit differently, just like how there's men that like to get manicures and shit, but they're still very distinctly men.
There's this. I forget her name, but Spoon made a video on her a while ago. She was clashing with some Muslim woman. But anyway, she makes videos online, like lots of videos of her like wrestling fish, like really big fish, or just like she likes to just do
Oh,
stuff in lakes and
that
rivers.
Hannah girl.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
like you,
Very sweet girl.
yeah, when you watch videos of her like not doing that stuff, she's still very girly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how does this work? You love doing man stuff, like basically
She
as a
did a
living.
video. Yeah, because I remember like people were attacking her for, oh my god, what were they attacking her for? It was something really stupid they were attacking. It was like something along the lines of pick me stuff.
Yeah,
But she did like she wanted to just squash the beef once and for all, and I remember she put out a video. And in that video, she said like, I'm still a girly girl because she still does her makeup, she gets her nails done, she has these cute bikinis and all that stuff. But she was like, I was raised in a family of brothers. My family has always like been raised kind of doing like hunting and fishing and all of this stuff. So when I was a kid, I was taken to do that. and therefore I still, do this. Like I like doing this as an adult as well, kind of deal. So even though she was raised in a more masculine environment, it's just you can't take the woman out of the woman.
Yeah.
Like it's still there no matter which way you put it. So I think, and this is the problem. I guess you can see it even with modernity, right? Like you can have a career woman, for example, and you can put her in a male or a typically male role, but she will always still be feminine. She'll still wear skirts. She'll still wear heels. She'll still get her nails done because
Yeah.
those are you
Nature
can't take that out.
nature is dangerously underrated.
Oh
I
yes.
think we are more I think all life, not just humans, but all life is more nature than nurture. I don't think we can I think most of who we are as
Hmm.
individuals stems from how we're built
Hmm.
biologically, like genetically, biologically. That decides who we are more than our environment ever could, in my opinion.
It's I mean, this is a little bit of an off tangent that doesn't really apply to men or women, but it's for a very long time I've been of the belief that the modern world we live in was intentionally crafted to take us away from our natural, well, from what naturally drives us, in order to create this
Yeah.
artificial world that can be more easily manipulated. I mean, that's not really conspiracy theory. That is just the way the world is, right? But
Yeah.
it's strange that you can see it even in the most basic things. So, like, the example I always go to is if you have like a pain in your body, you go to the doctor and the doctor will give you some sort of pain medication and that will mask the symptom, but
Mm-hmm.
it ultimately won't solve the root of it.
Yeah, it won't
So
solve
you
a thing.
basically, right, so you go to a doctor to get a band aid solution to help you ignore listening to your own nature and listening to your own body.
Yeah.
And I find like, regardless of who I interact, because everyone's got some sort of issue these days, right? And it just kind of blows my mind that people are like, they find it so outlandish to just listen to your body.
Yeah.
It's like this is your nature, this is how you were built, you can't just ignore it. That's like it consistently, like, I look at these people, I listen to what they're saying, just like, how have you not figured that out? How have you not thought about this? How has your brain not drifted there? How can you be so out of tune with the body you live in 24/7?
Yeah. And I've noticed actually it even extends to weight. And I've
Yeah.
noticed this because I love eating.
Hmm.
But if I eat too much and like I can feel it in my skin. Like I can feel the fat growing. And I'm just
Oh.
like, ugh. So I'll like starve myself for an entire day to
Hold on.
reverse that giant meal I just had. Because like
Right.
it feels like my body's like, dude, you don't need this much, you don't need this many calories. What the hell?
Yep.
What are you doing to me?
It's it I have a lot of like food sensitivities. So for people are always astounded when I tell them like how I eat or what I eat. I've been gluten free since I was about 18. Just because, not by choice, it's because I have a genuine wheat allergy. Um, but like I have a very restrictive diet. So whenever I talk to people about like what I eat, or if we go out and they're just like, "Aren't you miserable?" I'm just like, I would much rather eat like this and then not have to suffer for 3 days. You guys go and eat your fucking burgers and your french fries, and then you complain about how you feel groggy. You complain how your body is achy. You complain
Yeah.
about how, you're having the runs or you're gassy or whatever. And I'm over here, I'm happy because I'm not feeling any of that. I actually feel like I'm living. Just,
Yeah.
it,
Exactly.
it, it, it blows my mind how you can be that out of tune with things.
Yeah, that's our modern world is very deliberately designed to ignore nature as much as possible.
Yeah.
And what brought me to like what made me right wing, what changed my entire worldview was realizing that nature knows better than I ever could. And
Hmm.
interestingly enough, that realization also led me back to Christianity. Like,
Oh.
just it was like a domino effect, right back to just all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nature, like, I'm not saying that everything in nature is sacred. Like, there's still poisonous mushrooms and shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
cancer is technically natural. But still, like, the natural order, though, that is something you should always listen to. Like, what is the natural order of things?
Mm-hmm.
It's, and not just
There.
like the grand scale, like how the world works, but also like within your own body. Like, how is your body trying to function? Listen to
Right.
that.
I feel like we had a balance of kind of modern and old world at one point, and it wasn't even that long ago. I feel like we had that balance kind of in the
Yeah,
90s.
I think it was the 90s. Yeah, that was our
Yeah,
peak.
cuz yeah, that like humanity kind of peaked there, and it's just kind of been too swayed to one side now. Like this is why because I just came back from a 3.5 day camping trip, right? This is why I love going camping so much. Is aside from I was always an outdoors kid, so that aside, but you get so much more in tune with your own body, and you're able to redefine what you thought your limits are.
Hmm.
So like typically if I'm at home, like it's hard for me to fall asleep. I won't fall asleep till like 10. I'm trying to tweak my sleep schedule. So now it's 10, but it used to be like 12 or 1 in the morning, right? Um but if I go out camping, immediate like my body knows without having to take any supplement, without having to do anything extra, it's going to rise when the sun is up, and it's going to get tired and go to sleep as soon as the sun goes down.
Hmm.
And I find that I have so much more energy. I'm able to do things that otherwise would exhaust me. If I'm like, I can push my body so much further. And I feel there's a very underrated appreciation in just the act of camping in that regard. Like, I want to tell everyone, just go camping for like a few days. Yes, it's going to, if you haven't done it, especially, it's going to throw you out of the loop because you're used to all of these comforts. I mean, the biggest thing for people will just not being able to access your phone for more than an hour.
Yeah.
But there's something like so unbelievably rewarding and beneficial just to your livelihood and your mental health overall to get back to such a base way of living and finding your place in the chain of things.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You, we both agree that the 90s was basically humanity's peak.
Yeah.
And I think the best evidence for that is how everything that's everything that's gone downhill started, or like everything that's allowed us to go downhill started in the 90s. Like cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
the
The
internet,
internet. Mm-hmm.
lots of things. Like, all started in the 90s. It was like the 90s was like right before we just went way too far with things. So that's how you know that
GMO
was the
foods.
peak.
GMO foods became the norm in 94, I think it was. 92 or 94.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know that was pretty crazy when I learned that. We were not like it the food that we were eating before was very mildly like altered, but like full GMO food went into full scale use and production in the early or mid 90s.
I did not know
And
that.
now, yeah, and then you look, and if you look at, like, you can find the graphs too of like cancer rates, of autism rates. There's a direct, like, you can find a very, very, very close overlap between the rise in GMO foods and the rise in all of those things.
Yeah.
And there's still this mass refusal by government as well as many scientific communities to ignore what GMO food does. And even as a normal, I don't know if you notice it, because I always try, like, people always told me, oh, like as you get older your taste changes. Like, no, I distinctly remember that when I would eat a watermelon when I was a kid, it tasted sweet and it was bursting with flavor. It
Hmm.
always had this beautiful bright red. And now when I go buy a watermelon, 9 out of 10 stores, it's this weird pale pink color. It has no flavor to it whatsoever. It has this weird, like, moist, chalky consistency to it now.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like you can't tell me that there's no difference in GMO food. It's very obvious.
Yeah, I noticed something, or I realized something like as you were talking. Like natural foods have gotten more
Mm-hmm.
fake and disgusting, while
Mm-hmm.
the food that was always fake and disgusting has at least improved appearance wise and taste wise. So, like, in a way, the bad food has gotten quote unquote better,
Mm-hmm.
and the good food has gotten worse. And what I was thinking of, the example I was thinking of was chicken nuggets. In the
Mm-hmm.
90s, I remember they were like flat and like they looked kind of, it's hard to describe it, but they looked like trash. I remember they just did not look appealing.
They looked like junk food.
Yeah, it
Yes.
looked like junk food, but now chicken
Mm-hmm.
nuggets are like, they're almost trying to make them look like cuisine. They're,
That's true. Oh, like, I don't know if you guys had these the Michelina's kids meals.
uh-uh.
Okay,
Never
they
heard
were
of that.
like it's just like those microwavable meals that you can buy at the grocery store that they're really cheap, but there was like a kids version of them and they would have like little pizza bites or like tater tots and chicken nuggets. And as a kid, they always looked fucking disgusting. But I was a kid, so I was like, I want these. But it didn't look like real food. And as I get older, it still looks like a microwavable meal, but they've tried to make it look more visually appealing and I'm like, what
She's like,
what
stop it.
yeah, what's going on? I can't eat any of it now anyways because of, the gluten intolerance, but I totally like even McDonald's McNuggets. Those things used to look terrible when we were kids.
Yeah.
They actually look somewhat decent now.
Like the meat itself was like kind of brown, and now it's like bright white. I don't
Right.
know what they changed, but they're certainly trying to make junk food look better than it is.
There you go. It's easier to control a population when they are not properly feeding themselves. They're not getting the adequate nutrition,
When
right?
they're not properly anything, when they're not having proper relationships, not eating proper food,
Mm-hmm.
not making the right choices with what to do with their lives, like we're not doing anything right, I've noticed.
We aren't.
And that's
We
that's the main reason. I think this is actually a good note to end on because we've been going for like 2 hours now.
Oh
the,
shit, we have.
yeah, the solution is the ground up. And what is the ground? It's our relation to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Where do families come from? Families basically come from men and women getting along with each other so that we
Yep.
can get married, have kids, raise those kids right. Ground up. So
Mm-hmm.
this is important. I'm on a mission to, try to do my part at least.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about, like the natural order of things. We have to learn how to pay attention to what the natural order is, because now that everything is digital, we do everything through our phone, we do everything through the internet.
Yeah.
Just everything's fake now. Everything's artificial, everything's synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
We have to relearn like what the natural order even is, how to follow it, how to abide by it. We have to relearn all of these things. So how do we do that with our relationships? Well, I think at the very least we have to acknowledge, like, start at the beginning. Men and women are different. Just plain and simple.
Yes.
We are different. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we complement each other with our differences? We are not equal. There's no such thing as equal anyway, but that's a whole other subject. How do we complement each other with our differences? If we at least start there, we're on the right path.
I think in also like in just starting there, there's a few things that I feel like people need to first of all like understand and equally acknowledge. Like there has to be this base level, right? Where so if I like women is a good starting point. It's not unreasonable for a woman to have a career if you want one. At the same time, women need to understand and acknowledge that they can't have it all. So you can't have a career and a family. It just they clash far too much for both to be feasible.
Mm-hmm.
A, but B, there will always be a ceiling that you will hit. There will always be a limitation because biologically, that's how you were developed. That is how life conceived you. That is how millions of years of evolution conceived you. To always have a limit and a box, basically, that you need to operate in. So I have acknowledged that. And the strange thing is like, when you do finally understand and acknowledge that, you do not feel in any way trapped, nor do you feel like you have to do or be better.
Yeah, it's the
Suddenly,
real liberation is understanding it
right,
and just following it. Yeah.
exactly. Because there are still many, many things that I can do. I am still very happy in many regards. And if anything, just kind of unintentional pressure has been completely taken off of me. So I feel like there's this like getting back to base is great, and we need to also understand that it's okay to have limitations, and limitations are not inherently a bad thing. They can provide you with more freedom than you probably can imagine.
Yeah. They- and also, like, just the incentive of happiness is enough to get back on the right course. Because, like, so who do you want to serve? Do you want to serve customers that are not ever satisfied? They're not ever happy with you, or maybe they are, but it's all fake anyway. Or
Hmm.
do you want to serve your children? You know, make them good meals, make a good environment for them to live in. Like
Serve what
every
matters.
everything in the career world has its domestic counterpart. Like, who do you want
Hmm.
your boss to be? Do you want it to be a literal boss, like someone you have to take orders from, you can't question,
Who doesn't care about you at the end of the
doesn't even
day?
care about you, or do you want to have that exact same thing in the home, but he does care about you, he does love you, he would give his life for you, you're irreplaceable to
Hmm.
him, versus a
Hmm.
boss where you're very replaceable. In fact,
Hmm.
if you don't perform well enough, he will replace you. We
Right.
basically treat our relationships as if they are work.
Hmm.
Just the whole order is just off now. We need to go back to nature. And people will realize, if we go back to the natural order, that it is basically what we've been doing since we went wrong. It's just a better form of it in every
Yep.
way.
I
Your
think there's a
husband
very.
will
Oh,
always be
sorry,
a
go.
better sorry. Your husband will always be a better boss than a boss. Like, your
Oh, yes.
children will always be better customers than customers. I
Hmm.
could go on.
No, for sure. I actually forgot what my point is, but
Sorry.
no, no, no. I'm in total. Oh, there we go. I think we're very, very, very slowly starting to see that shift, especially because there's more and more just like really fundamental issues that are becoming more apparent in our society than they were just 5, 10 years ago, even 2 years ago, to be honest. So I think we're already on the right trajectory. There is just still the structures in which we live our lives have just kind of they've changed the natural order of things too much. So I think if we're able to kind of from the ground up just kind of push against those more, we can go back to finding like an equilibrium between what we are born to do, what we have evolved to do versus what modern society is pushing us into.
Yep.
Hmm.
And so, as a way to help this out, you and I already talked about this. I want I want our audience to be able to talk to both of us outside of the show. At some point, I hope my channel will allow super chats and things like that, so we can
Hmm.
respond to people in real time, or at least semi real time. But we'll be doing an email system where people can just ask us questions, and it will cost something to send these emails. That's how we'll support the channel, and hopefully, like, we can both do this more often. It'd be nice to
Hmm.
be able to do this every day, but right now that's not entirely realistic, but
Yeah.
if if enough people are participating, we could. But either way, it's not entirely about money. It's about like giving people a means to improve their own lives, or at least understanding things enough to make improvements in their own lives. And I think you and I think we understand things well enough to help people out. And even if we don't, we'll have conversations, you know. I hope to have guests at some point, people who disagree with me or disagree with you, and have debates or just discussions. But yeah, the whole point of this is, you know, from the ground up, trying to fix our very, very broken system. And
Yes.
I think where a lot of it stems from, a lot of where our problems stem from, it's not just conspiratorial, it's also people just have forgotten what the right answers even are. It's not entirely their fault. Like I didn't learn what the right answers were until rather recently, like just a couple years ago. But I've always been open to the right answers. I just didn't know how to find them. You know, I wasn't raised by the best people. I haven't always been surrounded by the best people. So yeah, a lot of it's just plain ignorance, and you know, at least make the right answers available. You know?
Or at least open a dialogue to explore what the right answers may be.
Yeah.
And giving just the opportunity to hear a different perspective, or even just to get people thinking, is sometimes the better course of action, because that's really all it takes sometimes, right? Is that you hear one thing and it gets your gears turning. You
Mm-hmm.
hear one thing and it makes you see something a little bit differently. And then that kind of gets things, that gets the train going.
Yeah, like just during this conversation, I realized, like, wait a minute, they've tried to make junk food look better and make good food look worse. Like, I realized
Right.
that as we were talking. Yeah.
And that's something tangible. Like, you could go to the grocery store and just like just think, just remember back to a time, or even just go to three different stores and notice the difference. Like,
Yeah.
these are things that you could, if you allow yourself the opportunity to register it, you will notice it.
Yep. Exactly. And yeah, I'm a man, you're a woman, so everybody who watches this, you know, they'll have access to the right perspective. You know, if men want to talk to you, if women want to talk to me, ask us questions, like, yeah, I think this will do a lot of people good if it's successful. Well, good talk though.
It was a great talk.
It's 2 hours
Thank you
went by.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to do this. First of all, looking forward to doing this again.
Well, it was literally you who like inspired this, because like
Oh,
because of how based you are as a woman. Like it just made something click in my brain. I'm like, I got to do this. Like without you, this wouldn't happen at all. So
oh. Well, thank you,
to be
and you're
honest.
welcome.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day, and see you next time.
Thank you. Same to you.